Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. Fancy that!
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast. We're going to be delving right into some of the goodness connected with what is a good deal and a bad deal and all the above. I personally find that price tag pretty outrageous, unless you had a very specific need. Maybe in a business environment, you needed something like that, or you... Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. As you could tell from our prelude this week, we're going to be delving into those deals this time of year. Are they good? Are they bad? Prices? What should we consider? And also likely, what's an older device that may be reaching its end of life and maybe not have just the greatest price tag on it. So by all means, check that out. But today, we're going to be tackling what I might... Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. I was going to say what lovingly I would call, but I guess simply it's going to be, I'm going to classify it as smart screens or smart panels, if you will. These are devices designed specifically with our favorite A-Lady device in them natively, but are really designed mainly for bracketing and mounting on the wall. This is, however, a little exciting in the sense that all of this equipment is brand new in the sense that from 2024, and so we're going to look at the price tags on these various lines of devices. The other thing we're going to look at, apart from that, is the Fire TV Stick line of devices. And in particular, what's happening there, what's a good price, what's a bad price. That too has our favorite A-Lady devices built into it, and you can ask it the same questions you would ask an Amazon Echo, but plug it into any TV of your choosing. So it gives you a little versatility, and we're going to look at some of the dynamics with those as well. What's a good deal, what's a bad deal, what's old, what's busted, and all of that. But before we delve into that in any sort of depth, I'd like to welcome our new listeners. Welcome, new listeners. My name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, based here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia, where we have our training center here in Roanoke. Now, what is the Echo Tips podcast, the show you're listening to? As you might already intuited or figured out, is a show dealing with our favorite A-Lady device. Now in its 7th season, we're a weekly show, have a back catalog of over 320 some episodes, and we talk about all things A-Lady related, from hardware releases to equipment, new features, how it works with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, home automation, different applications for different individuals and feature sets, from home security to using it in a business, using it in a managed care environment. If you're a caregiver and you have a senior you're trying to look after with, or somebody else with special needs, just a wide variety. We've talked about various different accessibility features for those that have different disabilities, and maybe they need a screen reader, maybe they need other features. We've talked about a wide variety of that. And just, typical home use for a family with parents and kids. How can you make this part of your workflow and your environment? But before we press on into our topic of good deals, bad deals, and all the above on these line of devices, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then, as always, we will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a non-profit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the show. As I said, we're going to be delving right into some of the goodness connected with what is a good deal and a bad deal and all the above. But anyhow, one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm going to try to make this first part we'll try to get through this as quick as possible so you know what the good deals and the bad deals are. We're going to be starting with what I would call lovingly the smart screens or smart wall panels. They're basically designed to be attached to the wall, though you can buy little desk stands and things like it for the like, but they're really designed to be on a wall. Now, this is we have one called the Echo Hub, which has been out from earlier this year, 2024, and we have the newly released Echo 15 and 21. In fact, we're going to go to a brief segment from the Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt and Sarah Lane and a whole gang of people there, where they, just from a week or two ago on episode 4900, highlighted this announcement for these new features. Let's go to that now.
I didn't. I got the Amazon Echo Show 15 a couple of years back, but I bought the stand. I didn't mount it on the wall.
All right, so Amazon introduced the Echo Show 21. $400. It's a smart display with a 21-inch 1080p screen, hence the name Echo Show 21. The company also announced an upgraded Echo Show 15 for $300. The Echo Show 15 debuted back in 2022, so Amazon is, kind of doubling down on that, but also introducing a model that's significantly larger. Both models have improved audio quality, more bass, noise reduction, stuff like that, a better camera, 65% zoom, auto framing, support for Wi-Fi 6E. But what I think Amazon's going for here with the Echo Show 21 is essentially a mounted TV.
All right, so that gives you a little quick crash course in those devices, and as Sarah started to allude to, she was talking about it maybe being like a smart TV or a TV branding, and really that is an interesting point, because that is exactly, I don't know if she had already seen the listing online or not, but that is exactly the way Amazon is placing this Echo 15, Amazon Echo Show 15, and Echo Show 21 as kind of like, the TV for your laundry room, the TV for your kitchen. It's a tiny TV for very specific features. All right, so we're going to start basically in both of these scenarios with both the smart panels that I'm looking at and the Fire TV sticks and stuff. We're going to start with the cheapest thing and kind of work our way up and just kind of dig through this. So earlier this year, we had the Echo Hub 8-inch come out, or Echo Hub 8. And as implied, that has an 8-inch screen on it and was designed to be kind of wall-mounted. Now, as a rule, these devices have a little maybe versatility in applying widgets and customizations on the screen, unlike the Echo Shows. All the Echo Shows are getting a lot of the same features, so I imagine it's a real mixed bag how that looks. But the ability to customize buttons on there, maybe to start a morning routine, or in these larger screen devices, maybe to have like a calendar or like virtual sticky notes the family could put up on the board. And when these devices were originally released, that was kind of the idea, but I don't know if it ever really took off. So I think that's why they're branding them more as this TV for your kitchen kind of concept. All right, so this Echo Hub 8-inch model was released earlier this year. It is presently here in the U.S. selling at around $125 on sale. Its usual suggested market price is $179. And back in episode 288, I did a kind of a product review of this device saying, don't buy this device. So now then it wasn't on sale. It was just straight $179. So I think $125 for what it is, it's come down a lot. I mean, that's very close to what the Google Nest, a very similar product with a kind of a similar size screen, although it might have been actually tinier than that. Came in at around $120. So, I mean, maybe if it fits a very specific niche for you and you just want that screen there, maybe. I don't know. I know. But it is definitely the cheapest option. And so if you're wanting something like that on your wall, that you can do all the home automation stuff, or maybe yell at the A-lady, maybe occasionally, play some music, that that may be the very device for you, especially now that it's a little cheaper. So I think that helps really incentivize it a little bit, about nearly $50 cheaper. As far as the Echo Hub 8 actually being able to do TV style stuff like these other bigger versions we're going to talk about, I'm really blanking on that at the moment, and if that is your concern, you may want to definitely go check out whether this device is capable of that. And as the Hub name implies, it's also kind of a unique home automation device for bridging different types of features and sets. And if that's an ecosystem that you're in or something that's non-standard, not part of Matter and stuff like that, you may definitely want to go check that out and see if it meets the kind of needs that you're hoping for. Maybe fixing two problems at once, basically. All right, let's move on to our next device, the new one that was announced there on Daily Tech, or mentioned on Daily Tech News Show, and that is the Echo Show 15. So, as the name implies, always with these naming conventions, the Echo Show 15 has a 15-inch screen, so it's bigger, also designed to be wall-mounted, and at present, most of these devices don't seem to be much on sale. I think a week or so ago during Black Friday and stuff, you saw them about $30 off. I saw them at one point around $269, but I think they've all floated back up to pretty much the same price that's recommended, which is $299 for a 15-inch, aka kitchen TV. Now it has the A-Lady remote. It has the A-Lady capabilities, so it can do anything an Amazon Echo can do. There is a sister podcast to us, or friends of the show, that is the Echo Show, or TES podcast. They did an episode on this, episode number 70, and I believe Robin Christofferson laid his hands on one, and this was the very first generation. So we're now looking at the new Echo Show 15, so this would be the new revision of that. So in the early days, the one that Robin was reviewing, it was really kind of working out a lot of its kinks. What was it? Was it a smart calendar? Was it a smart pegboard? What was it? It didn't, I think, originally have the full Fire TV capabilities built into it, but that came later. And now with this new generation, the Echo 15, Show 15, that's just native to it. So I think you're going to find a better experience if you're trying to play TV or use a remote and not do a lot of voice commands, but still like to have that feature set available there, or the ability just to do anything you do with the Echo. Maybe turn your lights on or off, activate a routine, all sorts of home automation goodness. Yes. Now, I believe these are all designed for wall mounting, and if you do need a stand, generally I think you can either buy them with the stand or you may need to buy that separately. So just factor that into your calculations. But it isn't on sale right now, and I find $299 hard to swallow, guys. I don't think I could see, unless there was a very specific reason. I mean, you can get a TV. I just bought a TV for somebody to help them out, a 24-inch for like $60. So, I mean, spending $299 on this, that's a 15-inch screen. Now, admittedly, the screens get more expensive with the touch component. I'm sure that adds to the cost. But by golly, I don't know. You'd have to be fitting a very specific need in my book. The next device we're looking at is the Echo Show 21. So this is a first generation of this class. The 15 used to be as big as these kind of devices went, unless you moved over to like straight up televisions, that you bought from another dealer that maybe had the Fire TV component built in. But this is their first 21-inch style touchscreen, which I think that adds again to the cost. The touchscreen components add money. We saw this with laptops years ago when they started to build touchscreens in, thinking that Windows 8 and touchscreens was going to be a thing. It wasn't, and it failed. But the implications here of this being something you mount on your wall and you don't have a keyboard and a mouse and you literally can just go by and swipe and touch, it is fundamentally a different type of user interface. Now, this device too was on sale on Black Friday. I think it was roughly maybe $30 cheaper, but it's back up to pretty much its full price last I checked today at $399 for a 21-inch screen. I personally find that price tag pretty outrageous. Unless you had a very specific need, maybe in a business environment, you needed something like that, or you wanted something accessible like that without having to cram a computer in the room or do something else. I just find it hard. That's a really steep price tag. And if you ultimately were wanting a TV, I mean, you have much better options. I mean, look, I just told you could get a 24-inch TV for $60. And I think that had a Fire TV. And now that I think about it, that had a Fire TV built in. Oh, my gosh. So, $60. I swear. So, $299. I find that hard. So, but maybe now that you know what the price point is, if you find something on sale, you'll know that it's a good deal. All right, we're going to move on now to the Fire TV line of devices. And as much as I was hoping to be able to bring you some kind of new information about this, there actually hasn't been much change on this front. Most everything, if you listen to last year's podcast where I did an episode of Buying Guide, these are pretty much the same devices. And I can't remember what episode that was. I think I had it written down. It was like 255 or something, or 275. I think it was 275. There hasn't been really any changes. But we'll once again start at the bottom and work our way up. So we have the Fire TV HD. Right now it's going on sale for $35. So, and I'm generally rounding most of these up to the nearest dollar, guys. And I didn't seem to write down what the typical... Oh, yes. As a rule, I think none of these really are marked down either. I mean, technically they may be like $1 cheaper, but they really are not marked down at this moment. So if you see anything under $35 for this Fire TV HD stick, that's a deal. Now, by stick, if you're unfamiliar with this line of devices, if you have any kind of TV or a dumb TV or a TV that's outdated, maybe with an old Roku in it or something's getting sluggish, and you're hoping to maybe upgrade or get new stuff, you can pop this into an HDMI port. It'll be invisible probably behind the TV. Plug it into power via USB cable generally, and you're off to the races using a Fire TV. New hardware, but using the same TV screen. So it's a nice way to kind of prolong the life of your TV. And it generally would be what I would recommend for people. Your TV panel can actually last a very long time, but it's the back-end computer, whether it's a Roku or a Fire TV or a Google TV or Apple TV, the ability to have that modular so that it wears out or you want to upgrade it and you pull it out and you plug in a new one, I think is very useful. That all having been said, I would not buy the Fire TV HD, even though it's extremely cheap. It's a very low-powered device. It doesn't do 4K. I will highlight, of all the devices we're talking about, it actually is the newest device. So it is got a little more pep in its step than before. It has been upgraded here in 2024, I do believe, according to Wikipedia, but feel free to check me on that. But I was just not impressed by its specs, its storage capacity, its RAM. I couldn't really make out the processor stuff. They make that stuff so obtuse anymore, it's kind of hard to figure out unless you're really deep in the weeds in the processor market. But I would not, for $35, I think I'd be prone to avoid this device. All right, let's move on to our next upper class here. We have the Fire TV 4K stick, and that's going for around $45 right now. Once again, no markdown on that. That's just the straight price. Now, once you move over to the 4K, and we're going to talk about the next one here too, the 4K Max, you get into a better class of devices. Obviously, they have to push a more high-fidelity picture to the TV screen. That means more data, more throughput, more RAM. They both have, I think, twice the RAM of the standard HD. So that in itself, being that this software, in case you're unfamiliar with the Fire TV software, has been going through a lot of changes, and I think even the underlying architecture at one point was being changed. So it's had some rough edges along the way. I have a 4K Max plugged into my TV right now that we used for the classroom for demo purposes. And let me give you the price for that too. That's going for roughly $58 now, and I did do an episode on that. Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't think I talked about it, and I've maybe demoed some features that were unique and demonstrated during the September 2023 Amazon event, AI-style features. But the principal difference between these two, other than the price, $45 to $58, is it looks like the RAM, based on everything I read on Wikipedia, is basically the same. But as I mentioned in last year's review, the 4K Max has twice the onboard storage. So if you're going to be installing several different apps, Disney, HBO, all these things, you maybe want different screensavers or little games on there, you probably definitely want that added storage capacity. There may be some subtle other differences, maybe with the processor and things like that. So I would say definitely for the extra, whatever it is, $12, $13, I think the 4K Max is where to go. Okay, we're going to move on now to the Fire TV Cube. This is the third generation. Now, I will mention the two 4Ks that we mentioned before, the Fire TV 4K and the 4K Max, were both released in 2023 based on the records that I was pulling up on Wikipedia. So they are a little longer in the tooth than the standard HD, but I think they're worth it for just the RAM alone, not to mention potentially getting the 4K Max with more internal storage, and I just feel like it'd probably be a better bet for your future. You get a little longer life out of that device. Now, the Fire TV Cube, third generation, honestly, the Cube is one of the most bizarre products Amazon has ever put out. It's kind of more of a set-top box kind of approach, but it's a cube-shaped device, also with the A-Lady literally built into it, so you just don't control it with the remote where you have a microphone in the remote. You can verbally just command it from afar across the room, and it has the built-in microphone array in the top and can actually respond. Now, at different stages during Amazon's over the last couple of years, these devices sometimes were the most powerful devices. They did things that no other device could do. In fact, there used to be a way you could duct tape it together with a Logitech video camera and even do Zoom calls with it and attune Zoom meetings, which was pretty cool during the pandemic. But let's go to this Cube. It is currently going, I believe, for $138 roughly if you round up. And once again, not really any kind of core sale price, I do believe. That one might be marked down a little bit more. And now that I think about it, I might not have looked at that carefully enough. It might have been up a few dollars above that. But for its price tag being, let's do the math here, more than, more than twice the value, twice the price tag of the 4K Max, I don't really think you get much more for your bang for your buck. But it is an unusual hobgoblin device. So it does have those built-in microphones and array. It does have some interesting hardware features, like it has a built-in HDMI pass-through capability. It has new Wi-Fi 6E support and a few other things. Of course, the 4K Max has a 6E support, so that's not necessarily unique to that device. It's been updated, and I'm honestly surprised to see that it's still here. It did have some things that I'm not entirely sure what they mean, like picture-in-picture support for live viewing and stuff. Maybe that has something to do with the pass-through capability. Maybe something can pass through from your cable box through and you could have a picture-in-picture. I'm not really too sure. But it is a very kind of unusual niche device. So if it is something you're kind of curious about or would like to know more, I would encourage you to dig into that. But at its price points, $137, I think it's a little up there. I feel like it's a little up there. And it is a pretty older device. If I remember right, it's even older than the 4K Max. It actually came out, I think, the preceding year, if I remember right. So I think probably the sweet point for everybody right here is the TV 4K Max. That was used on stage for, I think, some of the demos during the AI stuff where you could get it to draw AI art and do some weird stuff. And it's supposed to have some AI smarts coming to it with its search capability. That may be present now as well. I just haven't played around with it in a while. But by all means, very interesting devices. So now you guys have a rundown of the prices. Unfortunately, most of those are not really on sale, but that way you do know when something is on sale, and that can be very beneficial. I'll mention a lot of these Fire TVs too have Dolby, different levels of Dolby support. The more higher end have Dolby Atmos support. You have Bluetooth support. Like I said, you have really good solid Wi-Fi support, maybe even 6E. So you have a lot of the higher end specs that you would expect. I think most of the clunkiness that comes from these devices is their software implementation, and is it dragging, is it pushing forward, is it clean, is it fast, that kind of thing. Okay, well, that is a rundown of those smart panels and Fire TVs. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, you're welcome to reach out to us at info@goodwillvalleys.com. By all means, go and check these technical issues. If you have something specific you need, and don't necessarily make confirmation, right? Make sure you have what you need, and the prices, of course, as I said, are obviously going to be in flux at this time of season. If you'd like, also, you can reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. And in that, just when you're, sending that message, just mention the Echo Tips podcast or the New Vision program. And that way, that message will find its way to me. In the meantime, I'm going to do read some of these reviews about the new panels, the Echo Show 15 and 21, and maybe give you guys an update on what people in the community are thinking of that, maybe perhaps next week or here in the near future. I also have a really exciting app that I got into a beta test from the National Library Services from the Library of Congress. It's a mouthful. It always is with federal titles. And so that is a audiobook library for those with print disabilities or blindness or low vision. And we've been looking for that skill to come on the A-Lady here very soon. And there's an open beta for that so that I'm enrolled, and maybe I can demo some of that for you guys in a future episode as well. Okay, well, we're going to wrap things up. Once again, we thank you so much for listening this week. It's time to turn the ears of your Echo back on, although I guess I didn't really have to ask you to shut it off this time. And until next time, we do as always thank you for listening.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.